If you could please introduce the show today, that would be awesome.
Hi guys, welcome to another edition of Dojo Life. Today, well, my name is Marielle. I'm going to be your co-host today. We have Tulio, we have Carlos, and of course we have our guest today, Mikhail Krymov from Sleepbox. Mikhail, thank you very much for being with us today. Um, well, first off, can you tell us about a little bit about yourself, maybe your professional experience or any personal thing you want to share with us?
Sure. Yeah. Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me today. My name is Mikhail Krymov, co-founder and CEO of Sleepbox. We founded this company 3 years ago in Boston. Before that, my previous life, I was an architect. My first company is an architectural company in Moscow. And I moved to the US 4 years ago. My first year here was at MIT, research fellowship. And after that, Sleepbox is my new life.
Oh, thank you. Well, going straight to today's topic, we're going to be talking to reinventing the hotel experience. So, tell us what's Sleepbox? What's the idea behind it?
Yep. First, there is a problem that I experience as a traveler with my hotel experience and travel experience. And problem is that just access to privacy is hard, is cost prohibitive. It's full of friction. Hotels, like I want to travel to New York or Boston, stay a couple of days to explore the city. $300 per night for a hotel and a lot of commute, or Airbnb and even more commute. In airports, long connections, you don't have access to privacy and hotels in general, or you need to leave hotel, or you need to leave airport. So all these gaps in the travel experience and hotel experience made us think like how to feel those. What do we need as travelers to have our experiences like smooth and frictionless? And Sleepbox, I believe, is part of the solution. And the solution that we are offering now to the market. And the idea is pretty simple, that today the biggest restriction for hotel industry to provide rooms where people need those is that it's very hard to build hotel rooms. It's full construction, and basically today the only way to launch new hotel is to build one. Multi-million-dollar investment, 10 years to 5 years to build it, and 10 years to return the investment. We want to change this model by introducing modular plug-in hotel rooms to the market and making it smart and turnkey solution for hotel industry. We want basically to unlock a whole new market niche, bringing hotel rooms where it was impossible before, to airports or to existing office spaces.
Interesting. So when you say modular, what does that mean exactly?
So I will risk sharing a screen just to give an idea.
Please, that'd be awesome.
Of how our rooms look like. So this is Sleepbox. Literally modular, standalone, plug-in hotel room. We can bring it to any space. It takes 2 hours to assemble one. You just need the electric outlet to plug it in. And this is basically a micro hotel, full-size room, charged with cool features. It's soundproof, it's private, it's like ambient light. This window you see changes opacity when you touch a button, folding table, reading light, temperature control, all bells and whistles you may need to stay for a couple of hours or to stay overnight.
So logistically speaking, is it just a room? I mean, like, for example, a question that pops up right away is, what about the bathroom? What about shower?
In airports, showers are outside because so we have two models. We use Sleepbox now as our core technology, powered by the software platform we've built to provide the service where people need it. And we see now two main scenarios. First, airports, and we've launched our first airport location 3 months ago in Washington, D.C., in Dallas International Airport. And in airports, it's hourly service. So it's basically a nap vending machine. or on-demand hotel room right in the terminal. You don't need to leave terminal or airport. It's right there near gates. But the problem with Solving airports is that access to privacy and comfort. So bathrooms, sometimes we are able to provide those as part of our lounge. Sometimes they're just in proximity. In city hotels, we build a block of bathrooms, so they're semi-private, 1 bathroom per 5 rooms.
Okay, so I get the international travel. I mean, I would have loved this when I flew to, speaking of Russia, I flew to Russia in April, and I landed in Moscow. I had a 6-hour layover before I went to Tomsk in Siberia, and I actually ended up booking a room so I can get some sleep, because that's a 15-hour flight, not sleeping. It'd be nice to get a few hours of sleep. So what you're saying is you could set that up in a hotel, in an airport where there's these rooms that you can just rent out for a few hours to take a nap, for example. Or
Exactly.
See, to do some work and stuff. That makes sense. Actually solves a major problem for a lot of international travelers. The other version is there like a pop-up hotel within a hotel? Like, what's the real estate look like?
Okay, got it.
This kind of space.
So the hotel market, the hotel opportunity, we see it this way. We take a lease over an empty office space, or a space that used to be office space, in some great location like New York Times Square, Boston Faneuil Hall, waterfront San Diego, and convert it into hotel. It's branded Sleepbox Hotel with reception, bathroom, common areas, like 50 rooms or so. So for you as a traveler, it's just a hotel with your private and cool hotel room and semi-shared bathrooms. The price per night, it varies between like $80 and $120 per night. So generally, we are 2-3 times cheaper than any other hotel in the same area. That's kind of the idea, to give travelers another choice when they choose between hotels, Airbnbs, and hostels, how to not to compromise their comfort, but to stay in a great location for a very reasonable price.
Can you share a little bit about the use cases? I'm seeing, I'm just kind of relating to it, right? I've in the past I've traveled on a red eye, for example, to New York, and you have a meeting at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, or even a lunch meeting, and sometimes you just need a few hour nap. Doesn't work checking into the hotel for the night before, spending $100.
Got it.
But an application, like, what's the most common use case you're going after? Is it the overnight sleeper, or is it literally the person looking for a sleep box? Like, I just want to take a nap for 4 hours or refresh myself. What's the use case?
For cities, it's overnight stays. So it's a traveler traveling alone or with a company, friend, significant other, looking to stay for 1, 2, 3 nights, with a focus not to spend their time in the hotel, but to spend their time exploring the city. And we want to create a hotel that is a vehicle for that adventure, for a journey, not a golden cage where you pay for all the stuff that you don't really need and use.
So is the use case is more the traveler who's like, for example, maybe not on business, but on an excursion, and they just want to have a lower cost alternative.
Yeah, basically we're like urban explorers. That's how we define them.
The explorers. That makes sense. Tell us a little bit about, and then guys, chime in anytime here. By the way, if you have a question for our guests, you can go on Twitter at Dojo Live. We can submit the questions live right here. If you're watching on LinkedIn Live, you can do the same thing within the stream. Just ask a question. We're happy to submit that for you.
But let me tell you a little bit about our first airport location more, because airports are something that we're actively expanding and building right now. Cities is something that we hope to introduce in next year, let's say.
So that's the main market right now, the airport market.
Yeah, airports are our current business. For us, though, we see that airports are a great way to introduce this concept to active travelers. So that's the way we can put Sleepbox right in front of them, help them to solve the problem that there is no other way they can solve, really reduce the barriers to try it, and then hopefully they will like it and they will stay in our hotels when we'll launch those. But today we are focused on expanding in airports as our first step. And there are two parts of the experience that are, I think, interesting to talk about. First is the room itself, which is pretty like obvious concept. There is a room right in the terminal near gates with all the bells and whistles I've mentioned, soundproof, private, ambient light, and stuff like that, like Bluetooth speakers. The second thing that we've built to make this really cool experience is software app. So this is that's why I call this room smart. And today we could create pretty seamless. It's not perfect yet, but it's I think the core flow is there. Seamless process of using that hotel room in the airport. So today our guests they book a room on the app, Sleepbox app, and then they check in on the app, just making a selfie and a photo of a document. Then the key to the room is also on the app, so they unlock the door just pressing a button there, and then they control all these features of the room in the same place. And that I think is pretty cool, and that's like Uber Zipcar experience, but in hospitality.
I like it. I remember once traveling in and out of India, and I think it was Hyderabad's airport. Not sure if it was Bangalore, but like I had to manually go to a place to get a room to get some sleep, and it was not as simple as like having an app to do that.
Yeah.
Okay, so you started in Washington D.C. How are you determining what's the next airport? What are some of the ways you're validating which markets to go after? How are you doing that?
We're basically looking at international hubs where there are a significant amount of delays and layovers. And when there are delays and layovers, that's like Sleepbox is needed. So we talk with lots of airports, and we have some interesting strategic partnerships now in place. So we're now looking at expanding in like 5 US airports, a couple of Middle Eastern ones, and after that, a couple of European. And I hope that all may happen next 12, 18 months.
Great. Marielle, you got some questions as well? I'm sure you've got a burning.
Yeah, I'm actually interested in the app, like the part of the app. You said that basically you can like check in during this app, book the room, and also open it using the actual app. Like the actual app is your key to your room.
Exactly. You open it and then you change the color of light. You set up your temperature, set up white noise, like that level of control of your experience. So I found it pretty interesting, and I've stayed in Sleepbox for days now, or weeks. That when the space is compact, when it's designed smart, and when the experience is smart, actually the size doesn't matter. What matters is how you feel it, how like the experience is it, does it feel good, the quality, does it feel right, and if it does, then you feel great.
Yeah, like from a general overview, thinking your words, like making a smart place like that, like smart, it's kind of a challenge. Can you tell us like what was the biggest challenge that you had while creating Sleepbox? Was it like technologically, or
I think regulations were the biggest challenge, because this is a new type of thing. This is a new thing completely, and when you are talking about converting office space into hotel, or installing something like that in the airport, there are codes around it, and inspectors and certifications, and the process that is not existing, because no one in the code, in the fire safety code, they talk about modular standalone rooms. It's just not the thing that exists. So learning how or trying different approaches and understanding how to make this happen, how to convince all the inspectors that this is safe, this is good, this is and to make it scalable process, that was a challenge. But I think we've done pretty well. Basically, today, Sleepbox is UL listed device. So for the US, it's like a vacuum cleaner. Like it's certified as a device. This is a furniture with electronic components, and that allows us basically to bring it, install it with much lower friction than like it could be.
I have a question, a burning question myself, and this is from the business side, from the marketing side, because I'm more into the marketing part of Nearsoft and Dojo Live. Mikhail, in terms of the marketing itself, of selling the idea, what is the or in terms of adoption, what is the biggest challenge you've encountered? Like, for example, don't you have users that are concerned about, I don't know, maybe who's going to clean up the place after it's being used? You know, that kind of thing.
Yep.
It has to do with the customer experience.
Right.
What is the biggest challenge, and how have you solved it?
So there are, I think, two challenges. First one is just telling, again, this is a new thing. So when you were selling a car, you don't need to explain to people what a car is. You just highlight, that like why your car is better than others. In our case, we need to kind of introduce the whole concept first. So this is a challenge, just educating people. In the airports, though, it's easier, just because like it's there. People need it. They don't need to understand like the whole complexity of the concept. This is a hotel room right there. I get it. Like that's enough. The fact that it's modular, plug-in, it doesn't really matter anything to users, right? It's just they need a solution. So that's easier to like we're kind of skipping this first step in the airports. But the second challenge is that everyone has different questions, like how do are they clean, like all that, and they by the way we have staff 24/7, reception desk, so we clean each room after each use. It's basically a hotel management thing. So bathrooms, like all that. So our job is just in our marketing message in the app to explain it as clear as possible. And it works so far, but we're learning how to do that better every day.
Well,
Thank you so much, Mikhail. Go ahead.
The question becomes, what's the alternative, right? The alternative is more painful. I have more of a question in terms of how are you going to take this to the airports? Are you planning any strategic partnerships? Is your goal to go through the lounges first? Or are you going directly to the airport in terms of finding the real estate for this?
Right.
What's the strategy to expand and bring this to every airport and every international hub out there, basically?
So there are two parts in our strategy. First one is that we're kind of leading the category now. So that gives us a good advantage that a lot of airports are approaching us, because like 5 or 10 years ago, no one really, was ready to invest in napping facilities in the airports. Today, we are in Dallas. There are other solutions in other airports, our competitors. So airports are kind of getting that, okay, this is actually the service that people want, that people need, that makes money. So they're starting actively looking for solutions to provide this service. So it's good to be, in the avant-garde here. But we also secured a great strategic partnership with Priority Pass and like their companies around Priority Pass. And we're looking to expand now together in US airports, at least in the first place. And this is a great, strong partner to have. Basically, I think gives us Priority Pass, or putting us on the fast lane in that market vertical.
Congratulations on that.
Thank you. Yeah, this is huge. This is a huge deal. It's not finalized yet, but we're starting working together on a couple of projects.
Well, definitely sounds like it could be a game changer for you guys.
Yeah.
So congratulations. Okay, so let's fast forward a little bit. The airport market's huge, obviously. Let's say you conquer that. what's next? I mean, I'm looking at this, I'm thinking, man, this would be kind of cool, like at a big concert event, like just do a pop-up hotel. Or if I'm a Marriott or Hilton or whatever, and I want to offer a floor where I have some more economical.
Oh yeah,
maybe I
that's
can.
actually exactly one of the projects that we're having right now. Existing hotels converting one of the floors of the existing building into Sleepbox hotel, like adding that different value prop in the same building. Actually, the interest from existing hotel brands to this is higher than I would ever expect. So next step after airports, city hotels, and I think we can launch 5, 10 Sleepbox hotels in every major city in the world. Because instead of building, one tower with 250 or 1,000 rooms, we can launch 5 different hotels with 50 rooms in different areas of the city, providing different like hyper local cool experiences, connecting all that in one network of experiences. So that would be awesome, and that would be a game changer, and the opportunity for that is just like incredibly large. And then these are two major like airports, and that urban hotels are two major verticals. But you're totally right. There are festivals. There are disaster like relief situations, homelessness, and other like highway like hotels on the highways. To give that a couple of hours of rest, and other cool ideas where modular plug-in solution can help. So we definitely see a variety of products in future. Today we're focused on launching our own branded hotels, but when this will be figured out more or less, now I look forward to launch products that we will distribute, like basically sell to people so they can use them in different situations, including putting a couple of those in your garage and there being them. Like eventually that may happen.
Sounds like the organizers of South by Southwest should probably be listening, because this seems like a pretty cool solution. And then you have to create a burns option for Burning Man. So that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, the sooner the better. That's true.
You got some additional questions before we wrap up?
Marielle?
Okay, then
I
I'll
don't think I have. I just think it's a pretty cool idea. And going back to your question, like what's next for Sleepbox, I was thinking about some other stuff like hospitals. It'll be a really cool idea to have like sleep boxes around hospitals, for people who don't want to move too far from their loved ones. I think this is a really
and for
cool
doctors.
project.
We haven't.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's a great idea, actually.
Yeah, and I'm also I was thinking about these capsule hotels in Japan, and I'm kind of comparing it, but this goes beyond, because it's offering like the whole hotel experience, low cost.
Capsule hotels are really cool, but they have a couple of like inherited problems that didn't allow them to scale in previous 30 years, though they're becoming increasingly popular, actually very successful in Europe now, and even in the US. But the problems are that they're not soundproof, they're not private, they're not standalone. When you think about capsule hotels, they're basically like hostels with plastic walls between walls, so you cannot really put one capsule in a space. You need to have all these different rooms to leave luggage and all that. So we're taking that to we're adding a couple of more levels of comfort and independence to this experience, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's a different customer too. I mean, I could see using this kind of thing if I'm in a city all day having meetings. I just need a place to sleep that's comfortable and quiet. I like the idea that you have some technology like sleep noise and so on and so forth, and I can manage it all on an app. So congratulations. In building this, the journey. How long has the journey been so far?
Oh yeah, it was quite a journey. So we created initial concept 10 years ago. And it became viral. It was a huge PR success, but it was too early. If you think about that, 10 years ago, there was no Uber, there was no Zipcar, there was no WeWork. So mindset was different. So we created that concept, but I just continued doing my architectural work. And 3 years ago, we felt that the time is right. People are ready to use it. The opportunity is now here, and we started working full time to bring it to reality.
Congratulations. So, having been doing this for a while now, facing a lot of the challenges you have, any words of wisdom in terms of, if you look back at what you've learned about yourself as a founder and what you've learned about breaking through, basically something that hasn't been done before. That there's not a lot of things out there that have not been done before. This has not been done before. What are some of the lessons learned personally that you'd like to share with anyone in terms of? I would assume you have to have a lot of perseverance in this kind of a space, right? But
Yeah.
to hear from you directly to the audience about, maybe some words of wisdom of what it'd be like to push through when things become really difficult and you're trying to create something that's never been done.
It's a great question. I have new words of wisdom every day. So I think that there are a couple of general observations that I now try to keep on the back of my mind. That first, there is no one advice fits all. It's all different. It's different every time, every day. So it's just keep trying and keep learning. I think that the most important thing that entrepreneur can have is ability and willingness to change, to evolve, hopefully. Because if you're working on that, on identifying what works, what doesn't, and being able to change in yourself, because that's where all the evolution really happens. Changing yourself, that's the hardest and the most important part, and then this change is reflected to the outside world.
That's great advice. We often hear companies, you have to be adaptable, willing to pivot. But what you're saying is you yourself also have to become adaptable.
Yeah, that's all. That's all what it is. It's. I think, yes. For me, it's that when you change yourself, then things naturally change around you. When you don't change yourself and you try to change the outside world, that's a struggle. That's a battle.
Great words of wisdom to end the show by. It's been great to have you. We wish you a lot of success with this. I'm looking forward to seeing Sleepboxes everywhere. I'll definitely become a customer, for when I do my business travel. So I'm going to be downloading the app right after we hang up here. But thanks for joining us today. And anything else before we wrap up, guys?
Just let us know, if you're present on social networks, Facebook, besides Twitter, where
yeah, if you can follow us on Instagram and Facebook and our how to say it, if you search Sleepbox Life, that's or Sleepbox, Sleepbox Life, that's our hashtag and or however it's called. So yeah, all of these actually means a lot to us, and we see comments, we see all the responses. I personally see them, so please stay tuned, and a little bit of support is extremely
Mikhail, I would like to remind the audience that in case you're watching this interview at a later time, you're probably watching it on our website. So all the info is going to be right here on this on this website, on the page that we're creating for this website alone. So all the contact info for Sleepbox, for Mikhail, it's all going to be in here. Stay tuned, folks. Follow us, and we'll see you next time. And the only thing left for me is, Mikhail, thank you big time for joining us today.
So much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Bye, everyone.